Yeah, hello. Am I audible?
చెప్పండి బ్రో.
Jay garu,
యా
Mani here. ఒక చిన్న స్మాల్ క్వశ్చన్ నా వాట్సాప్ గ్రూప్లో నుంచి నన్ను రిమూవ్ చేశారు నన్ను ఐ డోంట్ నో ద రీజన్ జాబ్
మిమ్మల్ని కాదు, వాట్సాప్ గ్రూపే డిలీట్ చేసి
అవునా ఓకే
మీరు టెలిగ్రామ్లోకి వచ్చాయి.
ఓ టెలిగ్రామ్ ఈ వాట్సాప్ గ్రూప్ లేదా అయితే
లేదు.
ఓకే ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ
Okay, hi all, welcome. So, అందరికి good morning. I hope everyone knows Telugu here, right? Is anyone who is there who doesn't know Telugu in this group? Okay. Anyway, so we'll be starting Linux administration. Okay, so you guys already got the introduction and all the stuff in the first day. And yesterday, I have given a complete overview of what contents we are going to cover in this DevOps job ready program. Okay, so if you have any queries, you guys can ask me in the end. Okay, and also you guys can uh, call us at any time. Okay, so if you have any queries regarding the course, so that we'll give you all the clarifications. And who is going to teach you? I've already given you the picture that will be Shankar. Okay, but I'll be giving you the introduction of Linux and all this stuff today. Okay, so we'll just know like what it's important like what you guys know. Okay, so because so many of you are starting from scratch. Okay, so suspicious user. Not sure why it's coming as suspicious user. Saying denial. Let him join with a different email address. Okay, so we'll talk about like what you know, what we will learn. Okay, so and also approach to success, and we'll just give you a conclusion of what we have discussed. Okay, so let's take a moment for everyone to introduce themselves, but it's not going to work. Okay, so it's for the less number of audience, but here we have very good number of audience, so it will take a lot of time. So I would like to get a sense of what and where you all stand. How many of you have knowledge with Linux before? So why I'm asking this question is most of the people you guys know what is Linux. At least like you would have ran a simple command like ls. If not, okay, so if not, don't worry that we'll be giving you from the scratch, right? Like how to install, how you can work, okay, so how you can install a virtual machine or how you can launch your Linux, how many different ways we have to launch Linux and how many distributors we have in the Linux. Okay, so we'll see all this stuff. I'm getting few of your emails as suspicious. Okay, so one is Ajay and also one more person I got the same thing. Okay, so you guys need to log in with a different email ID, I guess. I'm not sure like why it's coming as suspicious, but you guys need to check on that. Okay. So and also if you already have Linux knowledge, I hope like you also know about few of the distributors like Ubuntu, CentOS, Fedora. Okay, and also these are the things that you might know or you might not know. Okay, so this is for the when you guys have very compact audience, then I would have asked everyone like how much knowledge you have, but here it's irrelevant like how much knowledge you have right now because we'll be going inside of every important aspect in the Linux which is required for a DevOps engineer. So what we learn, so major important thing is knowing about Linux file system because as a DevOps engineer, whenever I'm saying Linux file system, as a DevOps engineer, it's very important that you will be working on the application side, right? So whenever you deploy any application, so in Windows format, if I say you will be using folders and inside of folders you'll be having files, right? So in Linux terminology we'll be calling it as directories. Okay, in Windows we'll be calling it as folders. In Linux we'll be calling it as directories. And sometimes like when we say it as a folder or directory, don't get confused. Okay, so it's both are the same thing. Okay, when I'm saying it as a directory or if it is a folder, it's the same thing. But in Windows terminology, we'll call it as a folder. When it comes to the Linux, we'll be calling it as a directory. And the file systems, like We'll see the hierarchy of the file system and what exactly file system looks and why it is very important to know about file systems. What application individual things, like for example, if I'm saying application level things like logs or libraries or users, right? Everything. Okay, so individually we'll have a directory structure. Okay, so we'll discuss when we are discussing about hierarchy, and also we'll discuss about permission management. Permission management is very important, like what permissions you are providing on this folder. For example, if you have created a folder, who can access, right? This is very important in the real time. Okay, so whenever you create something, who can access, who can read this, or who can write what something inside of these files, and who can execute them. Okay, so these are all the important aspects. Okay, so whenever we are talking about Linux with respect to your application, so whatever we create, we are talking about permissions. That is the reason why Linux is very secure when you compare with Windows. Okay, so nothing comes out of the box like anyone can access or anyone can open the file, and in such way like how it will be in Windows, right? For example, if I create a folder, anyone can access that folder until unless I give a special permission on that someone should not be accessing. But Linux is something which comes with special permissions. Okay, so who can access, who cannot access, you can manage everything. This is very much. Okay, you can manage everything in a precise way. Okay, and also you can have access controls, like I said, like who can read, who can write, who can execute all that stuff. Okay, and also there's system management, like for example, if you have any issues, like how you tackle it and how you monitor the issues. Okay, so we already have course called Prometheus and Grafana. Okay, so not only Linux machines, like entire stack of DevOps. Okay, so whatever we will be deploying in DevOps, we'll be monitoring with Prometheus and Grafana. Okay, so we'll see that on the later part. Okay, so the end of our DevOps sessions. Okay, so after Kubernetes, you'll get Prometheus and Grafana. Okay, and also we'll check on few of the vital services. What are the services you require, how to start a service, how to stop a service, how to install a service, how to check a service, how to troubleshoot, what process it is running, can I kill that process? Okay, so we'll see all those important things. Okay, and also I've already given you complete picture. Okay, so yesterday we have talked about one place. Okay, so 1 hour place, that how it is important. Like, okay, so like you guys also can move into Linux administration. Okay, so not only the DevOps, but you also have a chance to move into the Linux administration. So why Linux is very important right now when I'm scrolling my phone, right? My Android phone. Okay, so it is inbuilt with the Linux operating system, and your IoT devices, right? In your cars, like whatever it might be, whatever the automations we are talking about in IoT devices, everything is inbuilt with the Linux operating system, right? Everything, like when I'm saying everything, most of the things like we are using Linux because of its nature of open source, right? For example, I am creating a simple automation, okay, with respect to, for example, I'm using a Raspberry Pi. Okay, if you doesn't know what is Raspberry Pi is a simple chip where you use in our IoT device. Okay, so for example, if I'm installing Windows on Raspberry Pi, imagine that Windows license costs around 10,000 rupees, right? And if I want to have a simple automation, like if I want to switch my, like if I want to off my fan, or if I want to off my lights, right? So these are all the automations. Like when you go with the bulbs also nowadays, you will get a simple chip inside of a bulb, right? Where it will take all your instructions. Like whenever you say switch off, it will switch off. Whenever you say switch on, it will switch on, right? So inside of that, you should have a basic operating system. Okay, it might be Linux, it might be any other operating system, but it will be an open source. Most of the things will have your Linux operating system, where it will take all the, like on top of that, you will apply an application and you will give all the instructions, right? So if you imagine if it is a Windows, okay, and only to switch off your light automatically and switch on your light automatically, you would have spent 10,000 plus rupees, which is not possible. That is the reason why you see Linux everywhere. Okay, so one more very important thing is Linux plays in technologies like containerization and cloud platforms. So whenever someone talks about cloud platforms, the first thing they go and do is launch a VMware, right? They launch a VMware and they will have the fun of using the cloud platforms. Okay, so most of the people will launch Linux boxes. Okay, so instead of Windows boxes, most of the people will launch Linux boxes and they will practice a lot on them. And when I'm saying real world, in the real time, 95% of the organizations will use only Linux. All your servers, okay, so whatever the things, okay, so in and out, day in, day out, okay, so every day you will be working on Linux boxes. 95% of the servers are Linux servers, okay, so and very important thing is containerization. We'll talk about containerization later, but something which is a buzzword right now. Okay, so it is like Linux is the one which plays very important role when you are doing containerizations. And also we'll talk about why we are opting Linux. Okay, and also we'll see all the real-time scenarios. Okay, so in every aspect of technology, whatever we are discussing, right, tools or technologies, we'll be talking about real world in scenarios. Okay, so how it will be in real world. Okay, so why exactly we are talking about that, right? So preparation, job importance, we have already seen yesterday. Okay, so how we gonna do stuff. So when I'm talking about preparation, okay, so I suggest setting up a personal Linux lab environment. Okay, so that is using virtualization tools like VirtualBox or VMware. So you should have a VMware or a virtual box. Okay, so where you can install Linux on top of that virtual machine. So VMware workstation we can download, and also we can download VirtualBox. I'll show you like how to download them and how to install your operating system on top of that. When I'm saying operating system, it's Linux. Okay, so it's not Windows. Okay, so there are several books, online courses, and website which like whenever you're talking about Linux is there from 1980s, 1960s. Okay, so you have huge libraries. Okay, so it's not that whatever we are teaching, it's that like it's enough or it's good for you to go into the Linux. Okay, so there is huge content in the Linux. Okay, so there are a lot of books, lot of blogs, lot of websites. Okay, so even like whenever we are going forward, I'll recommend all the websites like where you can go and check on. Practice makes perfect. So today, if I talk about 10 commands, and if you have not executed them, okay, if I ask the same thing day after tomorrow, you will have zero knowledge on that. Okay, until unless you execute a command, even if it is a simple command like ls-lrt, what exactly this command is doing, you need to go and run that command, and also you need to check the help pages, man pages. Okay, I'll tell you what is help pages, what are man pages, but you need to go and verify everything like exactly what that command is doing, how many options that command is having. Okay, so it's very important that you practice. Okay, if you are not practicing, if you do not have hands on, if you just listen what commands, like if you just see like what commands we are typing and you feel like you will know everything, okay, I'm telling you like you will feel like you know everything, but someone asks you about a particular command, you cannot answer that command. Okay, so that's very important. One more very important aspect is learn by doing. Okay, so like I said, you can learn only by doing. Okay, so if you just watch it and if you feel like you already know, then it doesn't work. And also I always advocate for joining open source projects and communities. They can be excellent learning platforms. So we'll talk about this later when we are talking about DevOps. So whenever I'm saying joining open source projects, that you will see it in GitHub, huge number of open source projects. I always suggest people to go and check on the open source projects. It's not that you go and develop it, okay? So because you might not know what exactly happening in these open sources, but at least you can go and see the code and you can write the comments, right? Like when you do hash and if you comment like what exactly that line is doing or what exactly. that part of code is doing, right? At least if you help in that way, you will have a lot of scope. Okay, so you will have a lot of scope to enhance your skills in that. Okay, so it's always important that you work on open source projects, go to GitHub and pick any project, at least like help them out. Okay, so with comments later part they will also involve you into the development. So networking has been crucial in my journey. Connect with other Linux professionals or DevOps professional to consider joining Linux user groups in your area. So it's always important that you use social media. Okay, so whenever I'm saying connect with the other Linux professionals, like you have LinkedIn, right? You have like you can go to Telegrams, right? Even in Facebook groups, right? There are a lot of social media groups which are talking about only Linux or which are talking only about DevOps. There are a lot of groups where you can go and join so that you know what is happening in the market. Okay, it's not that someone gives you an overview in the YouTube and you will be fixing in your mind that that is what happening. Okay, so I've seen a lot of people who are talking about recession, right? There's no thing called recession right now. But when you open YouTube, a lot of people will say that there is recession. Okay, so because they are not a real-time employees or they are not working in the organizations, they just see some YouTuber who is talking about recession, then again like they will pick that topic. Okay, it's all about clicks in the YouTube. Okay, so you should not believe anything in YouTube. Okay, so it's very dangerous. Okay, so if you feel like if you decide, if you take a decision yourself by watching a YouTube video, then you are in trouble. Okay, so you just never ever take decisions by taking the opinions of the YouTubers. Okay, so most of them are not real-time employees. Okay, so they'll just give you an overview, like they'll just take some suggestion from some individual and they will give their responses. Okay, so the lessons, like I will talk about the lessons I have learned and mistakes I have done. Okay, so it's a huge thing. Okay, so this is what, okay, so simple thing, what you need to have. Okay, so what we are going to discuss. Okay, so this is very crucial part of discussing incident management and change management. Okay, so this will talk in the end. Okay, so which is required for everyone. It's not only for the DevOps engineers or Linux administrators. It is also important for cloud engineers. Okay, so who are working in the real time, it's very important that you know about incident and change management. Okay, and also patch management. Okay, so patch management is not at all related to the DevOps engineers. Okay, it's totally a Linux administrator's job. But we'll discuss about incident and change management later part. Okay, so once we complete Linux part of the DevOps, then we'll discuss about change and incident management. Okay, so we'll see where we use Linux, what is Linux, Unix versus Linux. Okay, so and how we can download and how we can install our Linux box on top of virtual machines. Okay, so Linux OS is vicious and can be found in numerous applications, like I said already. So internet access right now, so whatever the internet access we are doing, right? Wi-Fi routers typically have an embedded Linux copy for web management. Okay, like I said, if it is Windows, your Wi-Fi router will cost around 10,000 rupees. Okay, so where we wouldn't have afforded the Wi-Fi routers also if there was no Linux operating system. Then your TVs, all the TVs, whatever we are having right now, like even if I'm using digital board right now, inside of this, it's always Linux operating system. Your smartphones, tablets, ebooks, everything is powered by your Linux operating system. Websites and platforms like Google search use Linux. Okay, so behind the scenes, okay, so when, like I said, 95% of the organizations use Linux. Okay, so whatever we are accessing right now, okay, so even your applications, whatever the applications we are accessing, most of the applications are sitting on top of Linux operating system. Okay, so Windows data recovery disks use Linux for the recovery process. Even to recover Windows, okay, so there are disks which are used are Linux. And also home appliances, like I said, okay, so modern appliances with touch screens are operating on Linux. Self-driving cars, okay, so nowadays it's a buzzword of self-driving cars. Okay, so the testing and operating systems in self-driving cars primarily utilize Linux. Why? Because of the open source. Okay, so why we have all these things running on the Linux? Because of the open source. Okay, so open source is nothing but free to use, right? Or else free license that you can use, you can utilize, you can edit, and you can work on it, you can manage, you can modify whatever you want to do, you can do on a open source stuff. Okay, why Linux? So Linux is an operating system, right? Like uh, at this point, everyone knows that Linux is an operating system. So think of Linux as a brain of your computer. So just as our brain controls our body, Linux controls computer tasks. Okay, so whenever we are having a computer, okay, I have my computer and I have my CPU, or even if your laptop, right? Without an operating system, this is something like a dummy stuff. Okay, so it's just a plastic. Okay, so without an operating system, you can consider this just as a plastic. Okay, or you can say it as a wastage, right? Without, like, if you want to manage something, okay, so for example, if there is a hardware inside of this computer and you need to manage this hardware, okay, so that is where operating system comes into the picture, where user will interact with this hardware using this operating system, and we can manage all the controls. Okay, so like how a human being works, right? Without brain, a human being is nothing but a dead person. Okay, the same way, without operating system, your hardware or your computer or your CPU, whatever it might be, it's just a plastic. Okay, so free and open source, it's like a community driven recipe. Anyone can use it, modify it, share their own version. Okay, so for example, if you are not have like if you want to modify an operating system and you want to convert that operating system on your base, like you want to make something which works in your way. Okay, so you can go and edit it. Okay, because the source code which is there is open. Okay, so you can get that open source code, the source code, and you can change all the things as per your requirement. Not just one version. So imagine Linux as an ice cream. There are many flavors, that is many distributors, that Ubuntu, Fedora, and Debian. We'll talk about them anyway. Linux is like a fortress. It's known for strong security. That is the reason why people are more tend to use Linux. Linux is more secure because of its hard disk, like because of its management, file management, and because of the permissions which I have mentioned in the earlier, so like in the first hour. Okay, so these are all the things which makes your Linux safe and secure everywhere and invisible. So you probably use Linux without knowing. It's in your smartphones, Androids, cars, refrigerators, even your televisions. Okay, so that is what I'm saying. Like every day we'll use Linux. Every day we use Linux, but most of it doesn't know that we are using something which is sitting on Linux. Bridge between you and the computer. So if you are speaking English and your friend speaks French, you would need a translator. So like is that translator between you and the Linux is like that translator between your apps and the computer. Okay, so nothing but the mediator between you and the hardware. Okay, so that is how the operating system works. Okay, it's not only Linux operating system, any operating system which is sitting between you and the hardware to give your instructions, right? So this already been covered by Shankar in the first class. Okay, but we'll just go through. Okay, so Unix versus Linux. Okay, so Unix is originated in the late 1960s at AT&T Bell Labs, where Linux is inspired by Unix, created by Linus Torvald. Even if you go and search Linus Torvald, I'll talk about few of the operating systems which are now the fork of Red Hat. Okay, so we'll discuss on that anyway. But the first person who invented Linux or who created Linux, and also the major important thing is inspired by Unix. In 1991, we got Linux, right? So price, most Unix variants are not free, like AIX, HPUX, Solaris. Okay, so these are the flavors which are in the market. Okay, so AIX is owned by IBM, HPUX is owned by HP, Solaris is owned by Oracle. Okay, so these are the operating systems in the market. Okay, so still these are Unix variants, means they work on a Unix basis. Like they have change their code with respect to their environments on top of Unix. So Linux is generally free. There are many distributors available for no cost. Ubuntu, Fedora, CentOS, Alma Linux, Rocky Linux, SUSE. There are a lot of flavors of Linux which are free and we can use it in our day-to-day activities as well for practice, or if you want to deploy any application, you want to invent something, you want to do an R&D. Okay, so you can do a lot of stuff with Linux with free versions. Code base, Unix is proprietary, owned by respective companies like AIX, IBM owns it, HP owns it, Solaris, Oracle owns it. We cannot use those we cannot get their source code. Okay, so we cannot modify that source code. Those are proprietary. Proprietary is nothing but they own it. Okay, so those are commercial products. Linux is something which is an open source. Anyone can view, anyone can edit, modify, and distribute the code. So hardware platforms often tailored for specific hardware platforms. So when I'm saying IBM's AIX or Oracle Solaris, okay, so most of the time we cannot install on our laptops or on our desktops. Okay, so you need to have a special hardware platform. So you can have a special requirements. AIX completely comes with the power systems. Okay, so complete different hardware. Okay, so you cannot install that on our CPUs. Okay, so it's completely comes with a different hardware platform where Linux is versatile, can run on a wide variety of hardware from personal computers to servers to mobile devices. Okay, so you can install and you can work on Linux. Okay, so it's very easy to use because of the compatibility with the normal hardware. Nothing but like even like in our laptops, computers, we can install the Linux. So usage often found in enterprise environments with specific hardware. So if you want to, for example, like IBM sells AIX with the close clients. Okay, so they have, okay, so most of the people are using AIX, most of the people are using Solaris still, okay, but it always depends on how IBM sells that product. But Linux used everywhere from servers to smartphones. So development and distribution, developed and maintained by respective companies, like I said, developed collaboratively by the global community. So it's a huge community. Whenever we are talking about Linux operating system, open sources, it's a huge community. Even we can go and help them. Okay, so if you have an idea, okay, so you say like, okay, so we can add this functionality into the Linux. You can develop and you can go and add that in the community, and if that is been approved, you will get that inside of your Linux boxes. Okay, so many distributors are available like Debian, CentOS, Arc. Okay, so we'll discuss on the distributors. User interface, originally command line based through though graphical interface exists, but most of the time these products are only command line based. Okay, so there's no GUI kind. Okay, so very rare. Okay, but no one uses. Okay, so as far as I have seen, okay, so when I was in IBM AIX, you never get a graphical interface. But in Linux, you will have both command line and graphical interfaces. Like graphical interfaces are something called Genome and KDE. So software and package management varies by vendor. Some use proprietary package management. Many options such as APT for Debian, Yum, DNF for Red Hat based systems. Okay. So here, like whenever we are talking about Red Hat, you will have Yum and DNF. And whenever you are talking about Debian based means Ubuntu, you will have APT. So using APT, you can install packages. Using Yum or DNF, you can install packages in the Red Hat machine. Okay, so we'll try to see what all the distributors we have. Okay, so discussion on various Linux operating system flavors, highlighting the main and popular distributions. So when I'm saying Red Hat is being used like 80% of the organizations are using Red Hat. Okay, so enterprise level operating system used by major companies, charges for support, offers customized pre-configured builds, not open source, provides support for any operating system issues. When I'm saying not open source, it's a commercial product because they will charge you for the support. Okay, so whenever you download Red Hat machine and you need to get the support, right? So they will charge for the support. Okay, so this is a commercial product, nothing but you need to okay, so whenever you go to Red Hat, they will have packages to get and to buy those packages. With respect to that, they will support their operating system. And also there is something called CentOS. Okay, Cent operating system. Choose an operation for this course, but we'll go with the Red Hat only. Okay, so similarity to Red Hat makes it a great learning platform. Similarity means like this is a fork of Red Hat. Okay, so managed by Red Hat, completely free, no official support, but there won't be any support, but it's totally free. But right now, we are not using CentOS because there is something. Okay, so initially, what used to happen whenever there was updates in the Red Hat, right? So after that, they used to send them to the CentOS, nothing but whenever they feel that it is completely stable, then only they used to send it to CentOS. But now they have made it as CentOS streams. So CentOS streams is nothing but first they will do all the experiment on CentOS, then they will send it to Red Hat. Okay, so the reason why this is not a useful product right now in the production till CentOS 7. Okay, most of the organizations. Okay, so whenever I'm saying most of the organizations, whenever they use open source operating system for free, they used to have CentOS. But right now, after CentOS 8, it's not working. So the reason why you might have heard a lot of buzz on Alma Linux, right? Alma Linux is also a fork of Red Hat. Okay, so when I'm saying fork of Red Hat, nothing but they have they have taken the source code of the Red Hat. Okay, so then on top of that, they are doing their changes because source code is always free. Whenever you are talking about Linux, source code is free, but they will charge only for the support. Okay, so Alma Linux is something which took the source code of Red Hat and they are been doing the changes on top of it, or they have been fork of CentOS and they have been doing the changes. Fedora is the one which is popular and free, used by many companies. Again, this is owned by Red Hat. Okay, this is again owned by the Red Hat. SUSE Linux, highly customizable. Companies like VMware run SUSE applications. SUSE is one of the flavors. This is also comes with the commercial product and also open source product. We have OpenSUSE. OpenSUSE is open source, where SUSE is the commercial product. And then we have Debian. Okay, so popular for personal computers, and the major Linux distribution. One more very important Linux distribution is Ubuntu. So whenever you go into the real time, okay, you will see Red Hat. Okay, it's on top. Then you will see Ubuntu. Okay, Red Hat, Ubuntu. Then you will see SUSE. Okay, initial like whenever it was still CentOS 7, CentOS 7 was the one thing like people used to have it on production as well. Right, so these are the distribution, these are the different distributions we have in the market right now. Okay, so whatever the distribution we are talking about, like Red Hat or sorry, Ubuntu. Okay, so we can install them on top of the virtual machine. Okay, so this we can install on top of virtual machine, right? So how you install them? Okay, so whenever I'm saying we can install them on the virtual machine, like what is virtualization? Like what is the concept of virtualization? Why we are calling it as a virtual machine? Virtual, nothing but not real, right? Virtual is something which is not real. So if you see this diagram, okay, so this is the physical server. Okay, so physical server in the sense my computer hardware or something, CPU. Okay, right? So here I'll have my physical server hardware, and also I'll have something called hypervisor. Okay, so what is this hypervisor? Okay, so we'll talk about what is hypervisor. So the physical server contains the physical server hardware and the hypervisor. The hypervisor is the one which is responsible for managing virtual machines. For example, if I am creating virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 3 on my physical hardware, right? So how it is happening? Because of this software in between. Okay, so you should have an hypervisor whenever you want to create virtual machines. Okay, so each virtual machine operates as it is where a separate physical device capable of running its own operating system and applications. So whenever I create a virtual machine, right, even this virtual machine feels like this is a physical box. Okay, this virtual machine also doesn't know that this is coming out of a physical server, right? Out of this physical server, we are creating one virtual machine. For example, this physical server is having 20 GB of RAM and 1 terabyte of disk. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll assign 2 GB of RAM, okay, and also 50 GB of disk for this, right? Then this virtual machine behaves like a separate physical server. Okay, so it will have 2 GB of RAM and 50 GB of disk, but it will be taking out of this physical server and it will be creating a virtual machine. Okay, so how this happens? With the help of hypervisor. Okay, so you should have hypervisor software installed so that you can manage your virtual machine. So this virtual machine operates as it were a separate physical device capable of running its own operating system and applications. So this setup allows for efficient utilization of physical resources, isolation between different virtual machines, and flexibility in managing computing resources. Whenever we are talking about computing resources, it's all about your RAM and disk. Okay, so your RAM, your disk. Okay, so how you are managing your virtual machine out of the physical servers, and you are utilizing those physical resources, right? And also, whenever you are talking about virtual machines, you have two types of hypervisors. Okay, so you have two types of hypervisors. One is type 1, one is type 2. So type 1 hypervisors are nothing but bare metals. So direct interaction with the hardware. So type 1 hypervisors run directly on the physical hardware of the host machine without an underlying operating system. Nothing but I have a server. Okay, for example, I have a server. Okay, on top of that, we'll be installing the hypervisor. Okay, so there is no operating system. There's nothing like operating system here. Okay, so directly on top of hardware, we'll be installing the hypervisor. Okay, so if you see here, type 1 hypervisors run directly on the physical hardware of the host machine without an underlying operating system. This direct interaction allows for better performance and efficiency. So whenever you go into the real time, most of the people will talk about bare metals. Okay, so just don't get confused like what is bare metal. Bare metal is nothing but a server. On top of it, we'll be deploying the hypervisors. So what all the hypervisors are there in the market? VMware ESXi, Microsoft Hyper-V, and we have Citrix Hypervisor, Red Hat Virtualization, that is KVMs. Okay, so these are the hypervisors which are available in the market. So often used in enterprise environments for server virtualization, where performance and scalability and resource isolation are critical. So higher performance and efficiency, better security due to smaller attack surface. Okay, so because you don't have any operating system, typically managed remotely. Okay, so this is how your type 1 hypervisor will work. Okay, so completely it sits on the bare metals, right? And the next is type 2. Okay, so we have type 1 and type 2. So whenever we are seeing type 2 runs on top of an operating system, nothing but in our laptops, in our computers, we'll be using type 2 hypervisors. Okay, So type 2 hypervisors. Okay, so type 2 hypervisors are installed on top of a host operating system like Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. They are essentially software applications that allow virtualization. So example, VMware Workstation, right? Okay, so if you see here, I have VMware Workstation here. Okay, so VMware Workstation 17 player, right? This is VMware Workstation, not for commercial use. Okay, so you will also have license for this. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Like this is just a software. Okay, so it runs on top of an operating system. Okay, so we should have an operating system to run type 2 hypervisors like VMware Workstation or VirtualBox or parallel desktops. So use case commonly used for desktop virtualization, testing, development, and educational purposes. They are popular among developers and testers who need to run multiple operating systems on environments on a single physical machine. So easier to set up and use, especially for individual users like us, like who are practicing or who are developing something, who wants to do an R&D. Okay, so this is the best type 2 hypervisor. Performance is generally lower compared to type 1. Type 1 is the one which is used in real time. Okay, so real world production environments, because you don't have any operating system in between. It's directly contacting your hardware and it's working on top of the hardware. Okay, so performance is generally lower compared to type 1 as it has to go through the host operating system. Offers more flexibility for desktop or personal use, right? So if someone asks you like type 1, type 2, okay, so most of the time, whenever you go for the virtualization administrators, okay, so there you need to go deep diving it, but you should know at least like what is type 1 and what is type 2. Okay, so these are all the hypervisor providers we have. One is VMware. Okay, so products we have VMware vSphere and also ESXi. So this is for type 1. Okay, so if you bought a server, nothing but if you have bought a bare metal, okay, so you can use VMware vSphere ESXi, one of the most widely used and feature-rich hypervisors, known for its robustness and extensive support for various operating systems and hardware. Next one is Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft have Hyper-V, which is type 1 bare metal. So integrated with Windows servers. Okay, so whenever you are using Windows servers, we use Hyper-V because Windows-centric environments mostly use this Hyper-V type 1 bare metals. Then you have Citrix. Okay, so Citrix also have Citrix Hypervisor, which is also a strong virtual desktop infrastructure VDI capabilities. Okay, so most of you, when you go inside of the organizations, you might have heard about VDIs. Okay, so these VDIs are bare metal type 1 hypervisors. Then Red Hat has KVM. Okay, so you will also hear like a lot of KVMs. Okay, so people will ask like, is there any KVM built on your Linux machines? Okay, so KVM is also one bare metal. Okay, so built on kernel-based virtual machine. It's a robust solution, especially in Linux environments, and is known for its performance and scalability. Then we also have Oracle VM. Okay, so Oracle bare metal, right? So these are all the providers in the market, and also we have IBM. Okay, so type 1, and we have Proxmox, which is Proxmox VE type 1. Newtax also type 1. Okay, so these are all the IBM is popular. Okay, so the next thing, okay, so when you see type 2, okay, so when you see type 2, right, you have VMware, okay, VMware Workstation or VMware Fusion, and Oracle VM Virtual Box. Okay, so popular for desktop virtualization, allowing users to run multiple operating systems on a single physical machine, mainly used for testing and development purposes. Okay, and Oracle again, a free and open source hypervisor for x86 hardware suitable for desktop virtualization and widely used for development and testing environments. Okay, so these are the hypervisors which are available in the market. Okay, so when you see top type 1, most of the time you will see VMware, Citrix, Red Hat. Okay, so Microsoft, like if you see Microsoft is the one which you use only for Microsoft products. Then you will see IBM. IBM is something which is used for power systems or power VMs. That is for AIX. Okay, so most of the time you see on AIX. Okay, then we'll see how you can download them. Okay, and how you can install the Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, I'm not going to install it. Something. Okay, I'll show you this part later. But installing Linux can be done in several ways. Okay, so you have different ways to install the Linux. One is standard installation, like you will get a CD drive or DVD drive, or you will have a USB stick, like how you install your Windows operating systems, right? Using a USB stick. In the same way, you can use USB stick and you can install Linux, or else download Linux distribution. Choose a Linux distribution like Ubuntu, Fedora, Red Hat, CentOS, Debian, and download the ISO file. Okay, so you will get ISO file .iso. Okay, so from its official websites. Then you can create bootable media. Okay, so that is again you can create a DVD. Okay, you can use a DVD by burning the ISO, or you can use bootable USB disk, or boot from media again some DVD. Okay, so you can use media for that. Okay, so like sorry, for installing with the DVD, you need to download ISO file, burn it. Okay, so first step, download, burn it, bootable, make it bootable, and follow the instructions, and you will be completing your installation, like how you do it with the USB drive, right? You will make a USB drive, bootable USB drive, then you will restart your computer. It will ask whether to install the Linux or not. You can install and you can complete the installation. The next thing is downloading inside Windows. For example, if you already have Windows, okay, so download a virtualization software, download and install virtualization software like VMware Workstation or Oracle VM, like what I have done here. Okay, so this is the VMware Workstation, and create a new virtual machine. Open the virtualization software and create a new VM, allocating resources like disk space and memory. So for example, if I go here, if I click on player, file, okay, here it shows new virtual machine. If I click on this new virtual machine, it will ask for the ISO device. Okay, so here, if you see here, okay, so ask for the .iso. Okay, so you need to download this. I'll show you how to download this anyway. So then if you click on next, okay, so it will ask for the details. After that, it will also ask for your resources, like how much memory you want to give, how much disk you want to give to that particular operating system. Okay, so I'll just show you that anyway. But install Linux on the VM, use the Linux ISO file as an installation media in the VM, and follow the installation wizard. Installation wizard is nothing but your instructions, like it will give you all the instructions like how to install. Then comes your cloud platform. Okay, so it's not only that you have to install on your machines, you can also use cloud platform like AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, anything. Okay, so choose a cloud platform providers like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud for installing Linux installations, or offering Linux installations. Create a virtual machine, use the cloud providers interface to create a new VM instance, and select the Linux distribution as the operating system. Okay, so even I'll show this as well. Okay, access via SSH or Cloud Console. So once the VM is running, you can access it via SSH. Okay, so we'll talk about SSH in the later part, but if you want to access anything, okay, so if you want to access any server, you will use SSH. And you can also use network installation, that is PXE Boot. So PXE Boot is not something like what we are not going to do, but when you go into the organizations, most of the time you will get automatic updates and automatical installations, right? Everything comes through the network. Okay, so that, okay, so this is, okay, so this is where you will get all the installation instructions like how to install. This requires a server setup with network booting capabilities. Computers on the same network can boot from this server and install Linux over the network. For example, if you go into the Red Hat exams, right, they will have PXE boot. Okay, so you need to boot your operating system through network only. Next is Raspberry Pi, installing on a Raspberry Pi or other single board computers. Nothing but we'll have a Raspberry Pi chip. Okay, so where you can go and install the Linux, download the distro for ARM devices, that is ARM devices, Get a Linux version compatible with ARM device like Raspberry Pi operating system. Write to SD card. Use a tool to write the image to an SD card, like how we are using USB sticks. We'll have a small SD card, like whatever we are using in our mobiles, right? We'll have that SD card. You need to make that operating, like you need to move that operating system or write that operating system into the SD card. Then you can boot your Raspberry Pi from that SD card. Okay, so the next thing is Linux desktop. Okay, so what is the difference between a Linux desktop and a Linux server? So Linux desktop environments are designed for end users for daily computer tasks, or similar to Windows or Mac OS. So they come with a graphical user interface and are equipped with software for everyday use, which you never ever see in the real world. Okay, so in real time, we are not going to work with the Linux desktops. Okay, so there won't be any GUI. Okay, so whenever you are showing a GUI, again there are chances of misusing. Okay, so there might be a security thing comes into the picture. Okay, so popular Linux desktop providers, you have Ubuntu. Most of the laptops are coming with Ubuntu right now. Okay, so like not with Windows. Okay, even if you go and buy your laptops, right now they are giving Ubuntu. Then you have Fedora, Linux Mint, Debian, Manjaro. Okay, so these are all the desktop versions. There are so many yet. Okay, so when you go for Alma Linux also, you have desktop version. Okay, so but these are the more popular. But what happens in the real time? In real time, you'll see only Linux servers where you'll have only command line interface. Okay, you will have only command line interface. Everything you need to do with the commands. So Linux server distributions are optimized for running server applications like web servers, database servers, and network management tools. So they are designed for stability, security, and scalability. So popular Linux servers, again, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, widely used enterprise server platform known for its stability and support. Next comes CentOS. Okay, like I said, CentOS is a community-driven free software based on Red Hat Linux, known for its RHEL compatibility. But right now we are calling it as CentOS Streams. So Ubuntu servers offer the same ease of use as a desktop version, but optimized for server use. So Debian servers, again, robustness and large number of packages. Again, you have SUSE Linux enterprise server focused on enterprise environments, offering strong support and management features. Okay, so these are paid products. Okay, so where Ubuntu is a complete open source. Okay, so even if you want to go for a commercial product, like if you want to pay something and if you want to get the support, you can get that support from the Ubuntu as well. Okay, so this is it for the Linux basic introduction of what we are going to do. Okay, so if someone is doing very new, okay, so someone is very new, and if you are not sure how to install a Linux VM box or virtual machine, okay, okay, search for VMware Workstation. Okay, so if I click on not Pro, don't go for Pro. Okay, so download VMware Workstation Player. Okay, so if you go here, it's a version 17. And you can say try Workstation 17 Player for Linux, and also try Workstation 17 Player for Windows. So if your main operating system is Windows, you can go and download it here. Okay, so click on download. Okay, it will give you a package. If you double click on that package, you will get this page. Okay, so this is your VMware Workstation 17, and then you can go and download Ubuntu. Okay, so Ubuntu download Ubuntu desktop, click here. Okay, so if you see here on the right side, we'll see download 22.04.3. Okay, so once you download your Ubuntu, okay, so you'll get this one. Okay, so Ubuntu 22.043 desktop AMD 64. Okay, So this is what you will be downloading, right? If you want to go for the Ubuntu, and if you want to install Red Hat developer. Okay, go to Red Hat developer. Okay, so if you see here, hybrid cloud developer tutorials and all that stuff, just go here. Okay, I don't think I have any login. Okay, you can log in with Google. Give your passwords. Okay, now if I go into the products, okay, so if you see Red Hat Enterprise Linux, click on this and download RHL at no cost. Okay, so this is only a developer version. Okay, so but you can have all the things, like you can have all the required things, whatever you have in the production level box. Okay, so you'll get all the applications inside of it, all the softwares or the packages, libraries, everything. Okay, so just download RHL at no cost. Again, you will get something like this. Okay, so RHL 9.3 x86 64 DVD. Okay, so after installing this, you just need to go to your VM, click on new virtual machine. Okay, and just browse wherever you have downloaded. So for example, if I'm going with Red Hat, I'll just say next. I'll just give my name. Okay, the password is for both user and root accounts. Okay, so you can give any name here. I'll just say. I also remember that this is the place you will be storing. Okay, so this is the place you will be storing your image. Okay, but if you can also choose as per your requirement. Okay, so where you want to uh, download or where you want to burn that image. Okay, so now I'll just say next. Here you can give the disk size. Okay, so it totally depends on what how much disk you have. Okay, so I'll go with 20. I just keep this as this bit virtual disk into multiple files. Fine with that. Okay, now if you come here, okay, so it shows that your memory, so it says 2048 MB, nothing but 2 GB memory. Okay, so we are giving 2 GB memory and 2 GB, 20 GB hard disk. And if you want to customize, you can click on customize. You can give, you can increase, you can decrease. Okay, but it is always recommended to have 2 GB. So guest operating system recommended minimum 1 GB, but recommended memory is 2 GB. Okay, so again, like if I go for 3 GB, I can go for 3 GB. You can give number of processes. Okay, so for example, if you want to have a like if you want to use more processes, you can use processes as well. Okay, so for example, if I want to have 3, if I want to have 1, I want to have 2, you can go with that. Okay, so I'm fine with this. Close it. Okay, so now it shows 3 GB, 20 GB, and also it says 2 CPU cores. I'll just say finish. Okay, so when I'm saying finish, it will go into the installation wizard. Okay, so now it shows the installation wizard. Okay, now I'll just say install. Okay, anyway, it will take time. Okay, so you just need to follow the instructions. Okay, so whatever the instructions comes here. Okay, so you just need to follow those instructions. Okay, so this is how you can install the Linux. Okay, once gets installed, okay, you can go here and you can access them. Okay, so I would have changed it. Okay, so anyway, like if I want to go and access, I'll just say play virtual machine. Okay, so if I say click on play virtual machine, it will start that virtual machine. Okay, nothing but you are starting your Ubuntu box. Sorry, it means like we are installing our, we are starting our Linux box in the virtual machine on top of my Windows box, Windows operating system, right? On top of my Windows operating system, I have my type 2 hypervisor, that is VMware workstation. On top of that, I'm installing my Linux. Okay, so just follow these instructions. Okay, so English, United States. Okay, and just give password. Okay, I know it's very small font. Okay, I'm just clicking allow root SSH user. Okay, and I'll say done. Then begin installation. Okay, so it will start installation. Okay, anyway, my Ubuntu, what was it? Not got installed. Okay, even my Ubuntu is not there. Okay, so I'll show you instructions. Normal installation, check updates, and just say continue. Okay, anyway, it will take a lot of impact on my physical machine. Okay, so when I'm starting two wizards, okay, it will take some time. Remember that, okay, so we are picking something from our physical server, okay, nothing but whatever the server I have, whatever the operating system I have, Windows operating system, right? From these, we are creating virtual machines, okay, so there might be chances of slowing down your server, okay, like slowing down your Windows machine. So never ever do two installations at a time, okay, so do it individually. It's always better. Okay, anyway, I have good enough of memory, so I'm doing it. Okay, so that is how you can install. If you have any queries on the installation, you guys can come back and ask any questions. And one more very important thing is after installing the Red Hat, you need to register that. Okay, so I'll just show you like to register, how to register tomorrow. But yeah, you need to register your Red Hat machine. If you are not registering your Red Hat machine, it doesn't provide you with the installations. Like if you want to install any package like HTTPD, you cannot install because you will be not having any repositories. Okay, never do this, but for my ease of use, I'm just saying like don't ask for passwords. Yeah, sure.
యా హాయ్ సార్ హాయ్ బ్రో ఇప్పుడు వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ అవి ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయమన్నారు కదా బ్రో
అవును.
అది ఇప్పుడు క్లౌడ్లో చేసేదానికి ఇప్పుడు మేము ఇలా చేసుకునే దానికి ఏంటి సార్ డిఫరెన్స్ ఇప్పుడు క్లౌడ్లో కూడా మేము ఇన్స్టెన్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకుని ఇలా చేసుకోవచ్చు కదా
క్లౌడ్ లోనే చేసుకోవచ్చు. క్లౌడ్ లో చేసుకుంటే ఏంటంటే లైక్ వెన్ ఎవర్ యూ డూ ఇట్ ఆన్ క్లౌడ్, ఓకే, సో యూ నీడ్ టు స్టాప్ దట్ మెషిన్. ఓకే, స్టాప్ చేసి ఎవ్రీడే స్టార్ట్ చేసుకోవాలి.
ఎవ్రీడే స్టాప్ చేసుకోవాలి
ఎవ్రీడే స్టాప్ చేసుకొని స్టార్ట్ చేసుకోండి. యూ కెన్ ఆల్సో ప్రాక్టీస్. ఓకే, సో దిస్ నో హార్మ్ ఇన్ ప్రాక్టీసింగ్ ఇన్ క్లౌడ్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ మీకు ఆల్రెడీ ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ అ గుడ్ ఎనఫ్ మిషన్, ఓకే, మీ ల్యాప్టాప్ లో మీకు ఆల్రెడీ
అది
16
యాక్చువల్గా
GB,
నా ల్యాప్టాప్ అంత సపోర్ట్ చేయదు అందుకు అడుగుతుంది
అదే 16 GB ఉంటేనే ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయండి. ఓకే, సో ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ 16 GB, 8 GB ఉంటే 2 GB ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయొచ్చు VM. అగైన్ లైక్ ఇట్ విల్ స్ట్రగుల్. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆల్వేస్ బెటర్ దట్ యూ గో టు AWS or Azure. Okay, so now if I go to AWS console, okay,
అండ్ ఇంకొకటి
yeah,
హలో ఇప్పుడు మనం VMware ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు మామూలుగా మనం మిర్రర్ ఇమేజ్ ఏమైనా తీసుకొని చేయాలా డైరెక్ట్గా చేసేస్తే మళ్ళీ దాన్ని అరెస్ట్ చేయడానికి ఏం అవ్వదు అనుకుంటు కదండి
మిర్రర్ ఇమేజ్ ఏంటిది?
అంటే లైక్ క్లోన్
దేని నుంచి క్లోన్ చేస్తాను?
దేని నుంచి అని కదా! ఇప్పుడు మనం డైరెక్ట్‌గా మనం ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మీరు ఇన్‌స్టాన్స్‌లో చేసేటట్లయితే గనక మనం ఎప్పటికప్పుడు కొత్త ఇన్‌స్టాన్స్ తీసుకుంటే మన పాతది మనం చేసిందంతా ఎరేజ్ అయితది. బట్ VMware‌లో అట్లా అవ్వదనుకుంట కదా!
VMwareలో అవ్వదు, మీరు లోకల్లో ఉంటుంది కదా VMware.
ఓకే. ఓకే.
ఇప్పుడు మీరు లోకల్లో ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇట్ విల్ బి ఇన్ యువర్ లోకల్.
ఓకే. ఓకే.
సో అక్కడ మీకు ప్రాబ్లం ఏం రాదు కదా.
ఓకే. ఓకే. థాంక్ యూ.
ఓకే, రెండో ప్రశ్న స్టార్ట్ చేసి which one I need to, sorry. Which one I need to choose from the below options? Alma Linux. It's your choice, bro. మీరు DVD అనేది తీసుకోవచ్చు, మినిమల్ అనేది తీసుకోవచ్చు. If you go for minimal is something like you don't have complete packages. Okay, so later part మీరు ఎప్పుడైనా if you want to install, then you can install the packages. Okay, minimal is something like it will have around 4 GB or something. DVD is around 8 or 12 GB ఉంటుంది. Okay, so it's complete package. So it totally depends on your requirement, DVD or minimal. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, just post them or else we'll wrap it up. Okay, I hope there are no questions. Okay, so we'll close the session. Thank you, guys. Okay, so we'll connect back tomorrow on the same link. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.